right. So, welcome everybody to How to Eat Food Locked Down Edition. So, we're going to just adjust that a touch there. So, we're going to cover the things that we teach people how to eat food. We're going to cover real foods, eating on time and on purpose, and we're going to give specific pointers and tips about how do we adjust to that now. How we make the best use of it. So,
if you guys don't know us already, I think we know most of you guys already pretty well, but I'm Stacey Coleman, my husband Jesse. This is our home. We were just saying how we've got that awesome 80s looking kitchen that you guys are all looking for. So just kidding. It's exactly how it was when we moved in. But anyway, like Jesse said, we're going to talk about the how to eat food lockdown version, and we're going to take turns like kind of bouncing through some things. Towards the end, we're going to share some actual recipes, some of my favorite tools that I use in the kitchen, and also at the end, we will talk about some different ideas and things, and like I said, open to question and answer. So, get some more people popping in.
Somebody in.
All right, so let's get started.
Yeah.
Boom.
All right, let's start out the top with the first concept that we regularly teach, and that one of real foods. All right, so what do we call real foods? All right, so we're not looking for things that are prepackaged, pre-manufactured, processed. Those what we would call fake foods. The more processing something goes through, the weaker in its nutrient content it becomes. So we want to find things that are closest to their source as possible when we're eating our foods and choosing our foods. So we want to, the three major components of all of the food that you should be eating are going to be fat, protein, and carbs. All right, so let's kind of break those down from a global perspective, and we should all be getting a balance between those three things. Let's talk about healthy proteins. All right, so lean sources of meats, but we also have, there's different nuts and vegetables that can give us proteins as well. So plant source proteins as well as animal source proteins. And again, wanting that to be as close to its original source as possible. Carbohydrates, you have refined sugars, white flour, those things which are traditionally empty and devoid of quality nutrition are simply empty calories. We don't want those. So carbs can be in the forms, typically any fruits and vegetables also have carbohydrates. It's not just breads. People think, oh, carbs are all just bread, and that's not the case. While bread is primarily a carbohydrate, your vitamins, minerals, and nutrients getting from quality sources are much better than cheap sources. So remember, fruits and vegetables are also carbohydrate sources. And then thirdly, the fat. Now, healthy fats and poor quality fats it's important to differentiate between the two. The saturated fats and trans fats are poison to your body. They're toxic. Whereas quality fats, omega-3s, omega-6s, all your omega fatty acids, and the quality oils and fish oils and fats, and there's plant fats that are very, very high quality for your body. Your body needs them. And in fact, they assist a lot of the vital functions in your body. So we want to get quality sources of fat, protein, and carbohydrates in our diet regularly in a balanced version. So how does this matter right now in quarantine time?
Well, I know it's like the worst time ever to have to go to the grocery store, right? It's like you got to battle up for armor. You got to go in with a plan, and we'll talk about that later. But my first tip is when we do get that bravery up and get into the grocery store, get your face mask, all that good stuff, still try to stick to the perimeter. As tempting as it is to try to get the easy things and the fast things, let's try to stick. I know every time I go in, there's not always what I want, but I know one thing is that there's a lot of good produce in there. So that's what you want to stock up on. Think about things that veggies, you can make so many different things, and I'll show one of my favorite recipes that I do with that later. But stock up on the veggies. Think of things that last a little bit while, like I know beets will last a while, potatoes, and my mind's going blank. You always get an onion. I think that's always important. But think of, vegetables that are going to last a while. Yes, still get the things that you're going to eat right away, like berries and bananas, things that might spoil quicker, and eat those quicker earlier in the week. But again, you want to stick to the perimeter and make sure that we're getting that stuff first. Okay. My second tip is local farms, guys. I know. I think all of you guys are local, so you know that we live in Maine and we have great sources, but really I think every state's got something. Again, I can't speak for the bigger cities. I don't live there, but I know that there's a couple of farms right here in Gorham that have some really quality meats, and we put some in our freezer. They also sell some fresh local milk, which I thought was amazing. And it's coming up on veggie season, so we'll be able to hit some of those things too. Remember all those farmers markets? Well, all those people are still going to be growing vegetables and still selling them. It'll probably just be a different approach, like going to their home or up to the roadside or a pickup type of thing. Look out for CSAs and different offerings like that I've seen talked about on Facebook, and I'll always share if I hear some good stuff there. But definitely local farms, because then you know where your food is coming from. I don't know about you, but if you've ever had compared like the quality of, like, I don't eat a lot of beef, but we got some local beef, and to compare it to what you get from the grocery store, it was amazing. I liked it.
Yeah, big difference.
The third thing is order online, right? We can prepare online. I know it's a pain, and I have friends who talk to me about getting up at midnight to place their order, but it can be done. It's a little more difficult. Obviously, you need to do a little more pre-planning because it might even be a couple days before your order's up. So choose wisely when you set that up. Also, there's a lot of food services. I know we haven't personally tried any of the home food, like the kit services, but there's a lot of good ones out there. And I'll do some research and see if I can recommend some brands. But personally, we haven't tried it, but I've heard a lot of great things. And third is, there's a lot of great supplement companies, and we'll get into more. Obviously, we deal with Shakeology a lot, which is a great superfood drink that our entire family drinks. Honestly, our kids have it more, if not, as much as we do, because it tastes good, and we know that we're giving all of our bodies quality, dense nutrition.
Yeah, just using it's another tool to get a quality superfood shake. Will just kind of take the guesswork out of knowing, all right, I did give my body a ton of vital nutrition that it absolutely needs, without having to think about it, without having to wonder and do lots of micro shopping to make sure that you're getting all the right blends and mixes of different fruits and vegetables involved with that. So it can be a great tool, very useful.
And having it, I get somebody else coming in. And having it delivered right to your house, I think that's a huge benefit right now. I don't really know what the regulations are as far as how long you're supposed to wait and what kind of gloves you're supposed to wear, but I do know that having it delivered on my porch is always easier. Okay, let's move on. So we've talked about real foods, moving on to on time.
All right. So what does eating on time mean? So we cover a few different critical parts about eating on time. Number one, we talk about eating regular meals. We talk about nutrient timing, and we talk about what is a smart fast. All right. So number one, eating regular meals. We don't want to just eat all of our nutrition in one meal. By spreading our meals out, first things first, making sure you get food in at the beginning of the day, start that metabolism, get your engine running, get your brain fed. Your brain only works off of glucose. That's the only fuel source it can use. And so if you're still in fast mode and your body's still starving or ripping other things from its body in order to create the glucose to feed your brain, you're in a depletion state, okay? So get your brain awake, get your body awake, get some food in your system, and eat regular meals throughout the day, okay? Number two, nutrient timing. We can be deliberate in which of those macronutrients we use specific to different times of day to optimize that digestion. Now, typically we want to front load our carbohydrates. Those are the fuel, the energy source that we talked about. And then we want to backload the proteins, all right? So the proteins are more of the repair blocks. They're the repair vehicle for your body to rebuild itself. So we want to front load our carbs, backload our proteins. We can use that nutrient timing to its maximum advantage, all right? And then thirdly, a smart fast. So it is biologically important for our body to go through a period of fasting through the night. So eating through the night at your 11:30 after you've watched your 5th series of a Netflix movie and you go hit that fridge before bed, and that is not ideal. We are disrupting that fast cycle that our body is naturally supposed to be following. We want to hit that 10 to 12 hour window during the night where your body's not taking more in. It needs to go through that repair cycle. It's supposed to do that, and it's beneficial for it to do that. So maximizing your timing during the day, but use that fast time at night.
and I know intermittent fasting comes up a lot, and that's a popular topic. And our standpoint is, yes, you should fast when your body is going to get the most benefit from it, and that's after dinner until breakfast. Okay, so no daytime fasting. That in our opinion, our professional opinion, is not the kind of fast you want to go for, because fuel gives you energy,
Performance.
and when we don't have energy, we can't perform. And so and especially if you're going to be working out, and I could go on and on about that part of it. But that's the type of fast that we're talking about, smart fast.
How does this matter? How does eating regular meals, nutrient timing, and smart fasting matter now during quarantine?
Okay, this is husband and wife working together.
Yes.
All right, so number one, set a schedule. I know, easier said than done, and you know, everybody sees those super moms that got those schedules up and everything's, you know, working perfectly. But I do know that I work my best when I have a schedule. And right now, we don't know what day it is, right? We wake up and we're like, it feels like Friday, but it's Tuesday, and we're all screwed up. So having a schedule and taking, like, you know, I would say daily, I like to sit down and just list off the things I need to do and try to put some kind of time to it, and try to work in like a time to work out and all that. But I'm also talking about, right now, we're talking about a food schedule. So making sure that you plan your meals ahead of time, setting a schedule to when you're actually going to eat. Because like we said, you want to be eating through the day, every 2 to 3 hours. It could go up to 4 hours, but you want to make sure that you don't get starving and hungry, because that's when your body stresses, and we don't get as much of the benefit of the fuel that we are taking. And then making sure that we are also, like Jesse said, making sure that we're starting that fast by dinner. So we don't want to keep putting dinner off until the end of the day. Also, don't overcomplicate it. I mean, I know we're feeding the family and it feels like we're making a million meals and you feel like you're never out of the kitchen. So make it as simple as you can. And we'll talk more about planning later. Do the prep though. You know, if you can get some of the prep done, like making a plan to what you're going to eat, making that grocery list, but also like things like cutting up veggies. If you get 10 minutes in the morning to cut some stuff up, I know with my kids, if I have things cut up like vegetables or apples or whatever it is, they're more likely to eat it. And you know, they're older now, so they can make some of their own food. But I know that if you want to get them that good stuff, that's a good way to do it. And finally, don't use the quarantine as an excuse. I know it's easy to like get caught in like the comfort food, like, oh, this is, you know, like a snowstorm type of deal where you're like, I'm just gonna, you know, sit around and you know, eat what I can or whatever, or drink, you know, those types of things. Make sure that we're setting boundaries for ourselves. It doesn't mean we can't have those days where we have something that we love. I think that that's important, to have that treat once a week, you know, have that glass of wine once a week. But if we get into that habit of doing it over and over again, we don't really know when this is all going to end at this point. So It's just going to keep adding on. So let's start right now and make sure that we don't make excuses. You know, set little goals for yourself. Like I know Jesse and I personally set a goal of like no drinking midweek. Okay, so I know that in the beginning everybody was like,
at first it was kind of like, oh,
right?
you know, it's fine, it's fine. We don't have to go anywhere.
Yeah, so we made that rule, and it's
like, okay,
it's been
that's
great,
enough.
You know, they conveniently sell wine by the box too. So anyway.
So don't use that quarantine
yourself
as an excuse. So don't let that creep in, because if you start to let that creep in, it will become a habit, and it'd be much more difficult to break that habit later.
Yes.
So,
moving on.
All right. We've covered real foods. We've covered on time. Let's cover on purpose. All right. Now, what does on purpose mean? There's 3 key phases to eating on purpose that we coach people through. Number 1, acknowledgement. Just going through the process of acknowledging, I am eating now, to not shut down in the back of your head, eyes rolled up, and just unconsciously nom nom. All right. So believe it or not, that is probably one of the most difficult steps to come to, is to be present and conscious during your eating. Say that, to slow down and acknowledge it, appreciate it. Try not to multitask while you're eating. Let yourself freaking have something to eat with some peace, without having to always multitask. Yeah, I get it. Eat on the go. It happens. But try to make yourself just at least be acknowledging that the fact that you are eating right now.
I have a big thing with my family is I make everybody sit down. I hate when people are standing up, and that's probably just me, but it's little things like that, is like, take a minute, take a breath, and let's just enjoy it. You know, you can take 5 minutes and let yourself consume your food.
Right. So phase 2 of that is when we get to like tracking or measurement. So we've acknowledged our food, but now we're coming to the concept of, all right, there's a quantity to it. There is an amount. There is either a calorie total or a number of sandwiches. You know, I ate 4 sandwiches or 1 sandwich. There's some sort of quantity to what it is that you're eating. And so we've acknowledged, and then we've quantified. And then there's a different skill set that comes with that. So there's a whole level of proficiency developed with quantifying food. So if you've done it long enough, you can think, no, all right, I know that's about 1,500 calories right there. It takes some practice to learn that stuff. So the proficiency can escalate from there into one of planning, where now I know what I'm going to eat before I eat it. I already know how much is going to be in it because I've already calculated what's going to be in it and how much I'm going to eat. So I'm planning ahead for myself. I've already set the course. That's kind of like the highest level of proficiency on eating on purpose. When you get to that point where you're truly deciding what you're going to eat before you eat it and knowing how much is going to be in it. So how does this apply to quarantine?
Well, I'm glad you asked. So right now, mindless eating is at an all-time high, right? Like no beating around the bush. That's exactly what's happening to a lot of people. You know, it's, you know, you go to the grocery store, you try to limit it as much as you can. You might end up with a lot of frozen crap in the fridge or the freezer. So let's make sure to be mindful, to think, okay, what am I eating? You know, and why am I eating it? Most importantly is what is the purpose? Am I hungry? Am I, did I just work out so I need food? Am I just stressed? Am I bored? So really just take that second, and no matter what it is, just acknowledge it, because I promise you, if you take that second every time when you're eating, you'll make different decisions. And sometimes you're just gonna be like, you know what? I want this bowl of ice cream, and that's fine, and I want it, and that's okay. But just make sure that more times than not, you're making the decision and checking in mentally with yourself, making sure that's what you want. Second is portion control and quantity check. So making sure that you're looking at your portions. Right now, I think people are doing a lot of, like I said, comfort eating and maybe overeating. And so checking in with your portions is really important. And I get a great tip for that. I'll go over with one of the tools that I have. But making sure that we're not overeating or over consuming what we have.
Right.
Thirdly, involve the family with the meal planning. All right. It's not totally up to you unless you're living alone. Let them have some part of it and take on some of that responsibility. Even little kids. All right. Give them a job of like, what do you want to eat on Mondays? And maybe put a couple limitations. Like it can't be mac and cheese, pizza, or chicken nuggets. Just maybe give them a couple of regulations. Maybe once a week they can have that. But make them part of it. So that everybody, so you don't feel the total stress on yourself, and you guys are also choosing it together. It's also a great time to teach your kids some of these tips. Also a great time to teach them how to cook. I know some of them, you know, little kids obviously is a little different, but we started our kids with simple little tasks of helping in the kitchen when they were younger. And it's really led up to, they both like to cook now. We taught our son, he's 15, Bodhi, how to cook eggs, and it's been amazing. Although he eats we have chickens, thank God, because he eats all the eggs. But little things like that, like use that time right now to teach them simple things, obviously within their age and capabilities. Because
you're going to get more buy-in if there's decisions involving everybody, you know, and it can be as simple. We'll show you our recipe, one of our recipes in a minute. For instance, tacos, where we'll make them a certain way, but we'll also cook up some other ingredients to be involved that the kids like and want in those tacos. You know, just a simple thing like that can bring everybody in on board. But we're all having the same thing, but with just different variations, yeah. You know? So it's a good tool. Yeah, and I would also, but don't make it overcomplicated. Like, don't try to make everybody happy. Like, if it's your night, like, get them to try new things. You know, and I'm kind of the old mindset is eventually they will eat. So make sure that we keep those options, something in a healthy perimeter. Another tip, and I'll go over this because this is on our one of our recipes, but kids love raw veggies. So I know my kids still to this day, they're 13 and 15, almost 14 and 15, and they still will prefer raw veggies over cooked. I don't know why, but they get more nutrition out of them that way. Eat a little dressing along with the raw veggies, so what? You know, it's great that they're eating the raw veggies. But some overall, make
choices to make it easier for yourself. Don't overcomplicate it. And I guess
Yeah, I was going to say on that point, one of the best and most useful tactics, which applies to right now especially, is when you can make an order, when you plan ahead for what you are going to eat and make a decision in a sound state of mind, you will then have a much higher success rate with following that plan and eating it. You will eat what you put in your house. Everything that goes in your cupboard, you're going to eat it. If you buy 10 bags of chips, you will eat 10 bags of chips. You know, that goes without that's just the way it works. So when you're making that order, when you're doing the shopping, that's the decision making time. That's half the battle of eating on purpose, is during the buy process. So buying a superfood shake to make sure that you're going to be taking those nutrition components in, planning your meals ahead for the week, saying, all right, we're going to have chicken stir fry on Monday. We're going to have tacos on Tuesday. We're going to have burgers and veggies on Wednesday. Whatever it is, you're saying it ahead of time, you'll follow it. It makes that decision-making process that much easier when you act on what you did in a sound state of mind and decided for yourself in the future.
So again, we make it simple. We're not fancy at all. This is our dry erase. I don't even know. We probably got it at Target in the dollar aisle like 10 years ago. But we literally use this all the time. And a lot of times, honestly, it stays the same every week. But just to kind of give you a sample, it doesn't have to be super complicated. But on Sundays, you know, we probably, like, I'm from a big Italian family. So we used to do a family dinner. So we'll try to do like a family Zoom night. Or we have some friends that we cook with. Now we do like a Zoom cooking
Iron
night.
Chef.
We do an Iron Chef thing. So make it fun. We make Sundays fun. Maybe something like more traditional, like some meatballs. We use zucchini noodles with our zucchini noodler. The kids might have regular pasta. But again, something simple and something that will keep and you can use for leftovers later. Mondays, we have salmon and broccoli. We might throw some little red roasted potatoes in there. Tuesdays, taco night, of course. It has to be Taco Tuesday. Like Jesse was saying, we make two different versions too. So we make a veggie version with rice and beans and fresh herbs and some guacamole, or homemade guacamole, salsa. We even have a great new salsa recipe that we use. And then we have, we'll make the turkey version too. So the kids like to have some of the turkey in there, and we can throw that together. Chicken stir fry, that's the recipe I'm going to show you. So simple, guys. Literally any vegetables you have in your house. Like tonight, we're going to have peppers and carrots and onions, and we're going to have some chicken. Literally cut it up, olive oil, fresh herbs go a long way. Thursday, burgers and raw veggies, because literally that's what my kids are going to eat. Fresh tomatoes, slice them up. If you get some little fresh mozzarella, my kids love that too. Put that on there. A little olive oil, salt, a little basil. So good.
So the point being that
Well, I wanted to finish first.
Okay, go ahead.
Then Friday, I say support a local restaurant. So yes, takeout isn't something that we always want to do, but let's support our local restaurants. There's a lot of good, healthy things. If you guys are in Gorham, check out MK Kitchen. They have amazing meals and also using local ingredients. But any of the local restaurants are, if they're open, have that one night where you're enjoying and indulging. And then Saturday night, usually we call our date night, which means that Jesse and I might make something different. We definitely make something different than the kids, and we'll kind of let them have like their thing. Like say it was mac and cheese or something that they've been wanting. They have that. We send them up to the game room and we get to watch a movie that we want to watch. So That was my meal plan list.
And that's a simple, basic week. It's planned ahead. We don't have to think about it. We'll use that, and we can make sure that we're eating real foods. We can make sure that we're generally setting ourselves up to eat on time, and we're certainly eating on purpose. And sometimes eating on purpose is choosing when those spots are where you're going to have that treat.
So again, I said it, super simple recipe. I'm not going to really cook it for you because I have to save it for dinner, but you guys know how to do this. I just get regular chicken breast. I'm going to cut it up into thin slices, and then I start that cooking. I might even broil that ahead of time in the oven. Start cutting up my veggies. I'll do even more veggies than this. I'll get some carrots, maybe even some beets in there. Literally any veggies I have in the fridge. Olive oil, salt and pepper. This is what we keep in our kitchen. I don't know if you guys can see on my windowsill, but we keep fresh herbs because they last. And some of this, like this basil, I think I've had for a couple weeks now, and it keeps regrowing. So I like to keep 2 of them. So I can pick off one and go back to the other. So I keep it right in the windowsill so the sun hits it, and just keep a little bit of water in there. Fresh herbs make everything taste better. So
you know, this is really not a complicated recipe, but you chop it up, you throw this stuff together, you add seasoning, salt, pepper, and olive oil, and all of a sudden, bang, it's delicious, and it's really healthy, and
soy
it takes a few
sauce,
minutes.
sesame oil, and you get some magic going on. So I'll put down this recipe for you guys, but it's super simple. It's easy. My kids love it. And it gets a lot of good nutrition in there. It also makes great leftovers if you don't have a 15-year-old son who's going to eat all of it before leftovers. I think he heard us in there.
Right.
Okay. Second recipe I want to share, probably the simplest thing. You guys know exactly, you've seen us do this before, but we're going to make a shake. All right. So Jesse, can you be my lovely assistant and put some ice in there for me? So this is the Shakeology, and this is the superfood that we're talking about. So we have this at least once a day. Usually I have it after my workout, but I like it because it tastes, put some water in there.
Yeah.
You can use water. You can use, we really like, the kids like almond milk. So we put some almond milk in there, or regular milk would be fine too. And then literally you open it up, pour it in. I don't even have to show you.
Dairy milk's not your thing. A little bit of almond milk is great to thicken things up and give it a nice creamy texture.
And that's a good point, because this guy like grew up on a farm in Vermont, and so for him to have
it was sacrilege
to move over to almond milk
was like I didn't know if I was going to get hit by a bolt of lightning when I drank something other than dairy milk.
I don't know if he's talked to his family about it yet. So let's keep it. Just kidding. Okay, so then we put the I put just a banana in there, but any fruits you got in there, literally put it in there. We have a NutriBullet. So this is, I'm going to talk about my favorite tools. This is definitely, I think we've had this thing like
3-4 years. It's
longer than that. I would say like 7 years, but it's just so simple. I just said all the most important things while that was happening. And then it's done. So it tastes like ice cream, literally. Like if you are like a chocolate lover like me, I choose the chocolate. But I would definitely recommend that at least once a day, because Jesse, tell them the benefits about, oh, here he goes.
I'm making a mess. Look at me go. Look at me go. See, alternatively, I could take all this and spend an hour trying to chop up every little bit of it, and then all the different.
You're gonna need these too.
Yeah. You get the point.
So in comparison to having to shop for all those superfoods, you know, and right now it's harder than ever. So that's another reason why the Shakeology is just one of our favorite things. Also, we like to use the bars. So you guys can obviously buy bars at the grocery store too, but we love these bars because they get a good dose of protein in them. They're all healthy ingredients. And it's got, you can even get plant-based. So if you guys are on the plant-based kick, you can do that too.
So you don't be afraid of using a supplement if it's of a quality source. You do want to steer away from cheap, crappy supplements. There's a lot of cheap crap out there, and they're priced accordingly typically, and they don't have to undergo testing, things like that. They don't undergo quality testing or source testing, and you want to be very careful about the sourcing of supplements. But when they are high quality, they can be a very convenient source to get what you need.
Honestly, the only things that we really take on a regular basis are the Shakeology. We get the bars, and then we like the Energize. It's like a little caffeine kick or a pre-workout, but without all the crap in it. So that just to kind of give you that list. So those were some quick, easy recipes. Now I want to talk about some of the tools. The first one was the herbs, because I think that everybody should have fresh herbs on the go, because try it. If you don't have fresh herbs, get some, okay?
They're cheap. It's a couple bucks.
Yeah.
And they even come with, they're either like root potted or little plant pods. You throw them on a windowsill.
And they regrow.
It just makes your food so much better.
Yeah. And probably, these aren't tools, but you should always have garlic in your house and Italian seasoning. That's just the Italian in me. Anyway, portion control containers. All right. I'm making a mess with those. The portion control containers are a big hit. You don't need them, but I like them because they keep it really easy and simple for me to know. Like this one says veggies, this one says fruits, this one says proteins, this one says carbs, and it just kind of helps you to know and measure out, you know, what it is that you're eating in the right portion. And we have a guide that can kind of show you what all these containers mean. But all in all, think of like, okay, if I'm going to have protein, it's about the size of my palm and the thickness of my palm. So you guys can see the difference between Jesse and me. So I don't get as much as him, right? So and literally that's how you can go by. A cup is about a palm full. There's all kinds of different little tips that you can use that are simple, but that's one of the tools that I like.
So if the idea of calorie counting makes you want to claw your eyeballs out, use a mechanical tool to develop that association. I know I've coached people through the process of calorie counting or food weighing, like with a food scale. Again, a food scale is a great tool, but to some people, it just sets them off. And it's like, no, I'm not doing that. You know, there's something that's like just fundamentally wrong with them, with that concept to that person. That's fine. All right. So use a mechanical tool. Use something that's like, all right, if I can fit it in this, that's a serving of carbohydrates for me. You know, use the tools, use all tools available. Don't limit yourself to just one way that's the best for someone else. Use and explore the tools available to you.
Yeah. Another just simple tip that I really like is get a water bottle cleaner. I don't know about you guys, but I have 2 kids and we're all drinking shakes and doing stuff all the time. So it sounds simple, but it really was a miracle for me to get this and be able to save time and teach them how to wash their own water bottles. No. And then finally, a grocery list. Again, I have this old list that I got at Target a long time ago, and it kind of categorizes things. But what I'm going to do today, if you guys jumping in today, is I'm going to send you kind of an outline of a list that I would recommend. And so hopefully that'll be a great starter for you guys. And then also, if you guys are interested and you need more, always reach out to me. I do offer nutrition coaching and counseling. So even if it's just one session, and I'm all about eating with your family and making it family-based. So no short-term, you know, obviously you can have a short-term goal, but no fads or gimmicks or anything like that. Everything is considered for it to be a lifelong change. So we do have the immunity booster program. Do you want to talk about that real quick?
Yeah, briefly. Again, using the tools at your disposal. If you're looking for a jumpstart or a way to have like daily coaching, we're doing a 24-day program coming up where we're going to coach everybody through it on a day-to-day basis. It does include some of these superfood supplements to go along with it, with some meal planning. It's like 3 days of really focused intention, where you're really being disciplined with your nutrition. And then another 21 days of kind of reintegrating your normal eating habits and including superfood shakes with it. So it comes with a daily kind of coaching cue to keep you walking along that path, as well as including some really high quality things to jumpstart yourself, get back, reset your gut system, and put you in a great path moving forward. And hopefully that sets us right out the back door of this quarantine thing and back into normal life for the rest of the world.
Right.
So,
think of, you know, your immunity as your defense and your health and your fitness as your offense right now. So keep up with those things, but definitely think, okay, how can I best, you know, do this immunity booster? If you guys did do the reset, this is like a mini reset. It's literally 3 days of like really high intense like focus, and then 21 days of like healthy eating plan and making some good changes and mindset stuff. So I'm just showing them that this is on our website. So you guys can go to the website and check that out if you're interested.
Cool.
But
we're ready to open up for Q&A.
I think we are too.
So
All right.
You want to